everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Every single time I do these sessions, I have to think about what day it is. Or maybe it's just the fear. It's fine. I'm Rosie. Nice to see you all. Hope you're all okay. We're going to be doing a really fun, bright craft today. Well, they usually are, aren't they? I usually add a bit of colour. This one's very, very colourful. And it's really, really easy. I have run this session before with people, you know, like in real life, like I can actually, you know, see them. And they really, really enjoyed it. And it was a real varied sort of class of people. So you can have kids doing it, anyone you like. It's just a bit of fun, really exciting. And if you have seen my sessions before, you might have been on one where I did drawing cartoon faces. So the idea was that I think drawing faces is quite difficult, and I don't like drawing realistic faces at all. So the drawing faces session that I did on here a few weeks back was all about just using like really obscure shapes to create faces in a really fun way. So this is a bit of a follow-on from this. So if you did that session, then you might be able, you know, you might be able to bring a bit to this because you know how to do the faces. If not, absolutely fine. You can do whatever face you like. But the idea of this, now you could turn it into anything you like. I quite like the idea of it being like a card or like a little kind of magazine that is folded up. But essentially what we're doing is a selection of faces, but then they interchange with each other with these little cards. So you'll notice here that these have got like little cuts in between, and then you can place these in between the faces, and then they all sort of like, I mean, it's a bit mismatched, but it's good fun. So they sort of fit a little bit. And so you have all these interchanging faces. Now, I just think they're adorable. I just think they're really, really fun. And there, look, you can see that they kind of fit. And then you can sort of fold them together, turn it into a little magazine, or you can have it as a card that stands up. I just really enjoy doing it. And I think it's really nice as well. And I said this before in the faces session, it freeing up this idea of like, you know, drawing faces are quite difficult or they have to be realistic. This is not that at all. This is quite freeing, I think, and just doing something that's a bit zany and, you know, bright and bold. And it's really, really easy to do. You don't need much at all. So I'm going to begin by removing my example piece over to this side. And what I've got here is just some normal paper. Now, I've got A3 paper today. You don't need to use A3 paper. You actually only need one piece of A4 for this to work. Essentially, half of the A4 paper is your 4 faces, and the other half is your 4 cards that can interchange into those faces. So you only need one piece of A4. It can be any kind of paper you like. It can be card if you want it to be card. Entirely up to you. The paper I'm using is kind of in between paper and card. It's right in the middle. I couldn't tell you what GSM it is. Does anyone know what GSM is? Should I tell you? Oh, do I even know? It's grams per square meter, which is the thickness of paper or card. And like printing paper is very, very small, so it's like 80 GSM, and then proper card is about 300. I'd say this is about, I don't know, 150. I don't think anyone's that bothered. Just me being nerdy. No, not good morning, Irene. Good afternoon, Irene. It's lovely to see you here today. It is, yeah, it's afternoon, isn't it? I usually do my sessions at 11, but it's not 11, is it? I've had my morning coffee. So I've got my paper / card here. I've got an A3 piece, simply because the reason I've got A3 is because I like the GSM, the weight of this paper / card, and I didn't have any in A4, so that's why I've gone with this one. So please ignore me when I'm talking about A3 and A4. You just need a nice A4 piece of paper. That's all you need. So I'm going to fold this in half. And if you do have A3, then that's great because you can make more. You can make as many little faces as you like. But yeah, just have a think about what sort of paper you want to use. It could be scrap paper, or it could be your fanciest card. I think as long as you feel comfortable drawing on it, and you like the way that the pens sort of feel on the paper, that's all you need. Although I suppose if you wanted to display it in a certain way, like if you were going to gift it as like a birthday card, you might want to use a thicker card so it stands up a bit better. So we've got our A4 piece of paper / card, and we are going to fold it this way. So you've got 2 long pieces, and make it nice and neat, because it will make the cutting process much easier, I think, and the fitting in of the faces. So you've got your 2 halves lengthways, and then we're going to cut that in half. So we've got 2 long strips. Okay. Oh, dearie me, come on. Seems to be having problems just cutting paper today. Okay, so then you've got your 2 pieces there, and both pieces you're going to do the same thing to. So you're going to fold them in half. And again, try to be nice and neat and make sure they're nicely lined up. So you folded it in half, and then you're going to fold it in half again. So one like this, and then one like this. So you will have then 4 sections to one of your pieces. Simple. We're going to leave that one like this, move that to one side. We're going to do exactly the same with this piece of paper. So we're going to fold that in half, like so. Fold it in half again. And fold it in half again this way. And then you've got your 4 sections, same as before. So you've got 2 pieces of paper, both of which have 4 exact rectangles on. So with one of those, we're going to cut them into the 4 rectangles. So they're going to create our little face cards. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they're going to be our cards. What I would say at this point as well, just to make life a little bit easier for you, when we sort of slot them into the gaps, because they're exactly the same size as this piece here, what you're best to do is just trim a little edge off, just so it's ever so slightly thinner, because then if it's slightly thinner, you know it's going to fit in there really nicely, and it's not going to sort of be cumbersome or anything. So, and it doesn't matter if you don't do this. I just found it ever so slightly easier. So I'm literally just shaving the edge off there, just like a tiny bit, like so. So it's literally just like that much, just so that we know it's got plenty of room to move about when we're slotting it into the little lines afterwards. Okay. So we're chopping those edges off there. And it doesn't have to be neat. I mean, you could do it with a ruler if you wanted to. You don't have to really if you don't want to. So there's our 4 cards, good to go. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create our lines, which is where our cut marks will go, which is where we're going to place our faces in between. So you'll notice that you can only see the cuts in the middle 2. That's because if we cut them away along the whole thing, then the whole thing would fall into lots of pieces. So it's only these middle 2 faces which are interchangeable. So we're going to create some lines in the middle 2 rectangles. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself a ruler, and a pencil, and I'm going to pop the ruler somewhere. I'm going to say, and again, I probably could have measured this, but I haven't. I just do it by sort of sight. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll measure this one, and then I can tell you exactly then, can't I? So I've done that about 3.5 centimetres, which is what? So that's 10.5 centimetres. So it's about a third of the way down. Yeah, something like that. About a third of the way down. You mark it there. So I'm going to get about a third of the way down, and then I'm going to try and make sure that my ruler is nice and straight. So I don't want it like that, because then we'll have problems when we're drawing the faces. You want it to be as straight as possible. I'm going to use this fold here as a right angle, and then I'm going to draw a line through the middle too. Easy peasy. And then I'm going to basically do, let's actually measure it. So this is, the gap is about 1.5 centimetres for both of them. So if you want to mark 1.5 centimetres, you can, or you can just use your eyes, because it doesn't actually matter how big the gaps are. It's just that when you come to drawing the faces, certain parts of the face will sit in a certain area. But it doesn't matter if you do these slightly bigger or slightly smaller. I've just sort of guesstimated here. So that's one. So I'm drawing 3 lines, and they're all about 1.5 centimetres apart from each other. And then they'll sort of sit basically in the middle of the rectangles. So you should be able to see now I've got those 3 lines that sit through the middle there. Perfect. So that's where the cut marks are going to go. I'm not going to cut them yet, because that will I'll really struggle to sort of draw on them. So what I would say at this point, to bear in mind, is that we've got these pencil lines. We're going to draw on top of them, and we're going to colour on top of them. And what I'd say is, if you're using a colour that is quite faint, then you might want to rub out your lines a little bit first. This rubber is basically turning my paper orange, so that's good, isn't it? Have I got a better rubber that works? I think this is the same sort of rubber. So what you can do is you can ever so slightly rub out your lines so that you can barely see them, just so that you know where to cut when we've coloured everything in. So just bear this in mind. We're not going to cut yet, but we also don't want to see the lines afterwards. So they sort of need to be quite faint, but so we can still see them when we come to cut them. Great. So now we can start drawing faces. You can do whatever sort of face you like. They can be really bold and really bright. The only rule, not even a rule really, the only rule that I would say with any of these faces is that you want certain parts of the face to sit in these lines, because then what you can do is line them up with your pictures that are interchanging. So what we might do as well, actually, in fact, we'll do that now, is we're going to draw those lines on the 4 cards as well. And again, we can be really faint with them, and I'm just lining them up by sitting them next to the bits that already have lines. And that's just to make sure that all of our faces sit in the same sort of area. So there's one. And there's the second one. And again, they don't have to be really dark, because we just need to be able to see them. In fact, these ones can be really faint because we're not going to cut them. We just need certain elements of the face to sit in the right area. So just do these last 2. Ooh. This pencil is sticky. I've got like this glue on it or something, so my fingers keep sticking to it. That's annoying. Okay, so we're going to line up this last one. There we go. Lovely. So now all of them have got the lines on, so we know they're all going to sit in the right place. So now we can start drawing some faces. And again, we can be really really bold and abstract with this. I'm going to put the example pieces here so that you can sort of copy any if you want to. And you'll see I've not even done like proper faces. This one's like a flower and this one's like a star. So we'll do lots of different shapes. I'm going to start with these middle ones just so I can put the things in the right place. And these two end ones can actually be whatever size you want them to, really, because they're not going to have the cut lines and then they're not going to interchange. So these can look however you like. So what you could do if you wanted is, if you're unsure as to how it's going to look, you could start with these ones because there's no worry about what happens with them. I would say at this point as well, I've not done the back of these, but there's nothing to stop you double-siding this. If you have a bit of extra time, there's absolutely nothing stopping you doing 8 faces on this one. So you could do these 4 and then same again on this side. And you could even double up on your cards as well. So the possibilities are endless. So, okay, what I'll do then is I'll start on this edge and I'll just work my way along just so we can get an idea of the sort of thing we're going to do. I'm going to see how I go with the pencil because often the camera doesn't pick up the pencil line very well. So it might be that I end up drawing with a marker pen. I don't want you to feel like you have to go straight in with a marker pen. It's just so you can see it. Hey, let's start with like a flower shape, shall we? Or like a sunshine. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see that very well. I'm going to use my marker pen. So you can do all of this with a pencil. I'm only doing this with a marker pen so that you guys can see it. And I feel quite confident with a pen. Quite happy to doodle with a pen. And I'm just going to do some petals around this. And you can see it's not a perfect circle at all. It's not a perfect anything. And that's the joy of this. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's a bit of fun. One of the things I would say, which is quite fun, is if you do this as a group, you can all get involved. So you could all draw different cards to go into each other's cutout. That's quite fun because it's a little bit like have you seen the game? Have you ever played the game Consequences, where you get the piece of paper and you'll have to draw a part of a body and then you fold it up and pass it on, a bit like that. So that's good fun. Okay, let's do some fun shapes now. As I said before, the way I draw faces is a little bit obscure and a little bit of fun. I'm not going to go into too much detail today because this is a craft in itself. But you're welcome to completely copy the shapes that I'm drawing and the way that I'm drawing the faces. And if you are unsure, obviously you can watch this back later, but you could also rewatch the other video I did, which was, I can't remember when, but I think it was a couple of months ago. And it was, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it used the words drawing faces. And it was with me, Rosie. So if you find that in the archives, the way I'm drawing faces will go into a lot more detail. You'll get a whole hour of doing eyes, noses and lips separately and in different shapes. But feel free to copy what I'm doing, however you so wish, or do your own faces. But this is like a good example of like your first one, your first go. Doesn't matter where everything sits. That one's on the edge, fine. Now we're going to move on to the middle ones. And we've got these lines here, and you know that I've drawn the lines, you know that I've cut the lines out, but you're thinking, well, why are they important? They're important because we want the cards to sort of line up so that when they're interchanged, they sort of make sense. So the way that I've worked it out, and you can be more detailed with this if you want to, but it's as simple as this. Your first segment here is going to be the eyes, and your second segment here is going to be the bottom of the nose. And then underneath that is the mouth. That's it. That's as far as I've gone with it. If your eyes are here and the bottom of your nose is here and your mouth is here, then all of these cards should fit in line with each other, right? It's as simple as that. So we can start drawing our face. So we can decide on our shape first. So for example, I might make this one a rectangle. So I think this one's going to be a bit sort of robot-y. Yeah, like this guy here. I like his hair. Let's do the hair like that because that's fun. And then we can do our eyes. So we can be a bit fun with our eyes. So I'm going to do that one open and then this one can be closed because we like a bit of asymmetry when we're drawing pictures, I think. And then for the nose, I might do like I don't know, like an oval here. And because we want the inside of this section to be the bottom of the nose. Does he want eyebrows? Yeah, maybe we can do some squiggly eyebrows. Now, again, I am going to colour these in, but it is much easier if you do this in pencil, colour it in, and then go over it in black. But I'm only doing this so that you can see what I'm doing. I think we'll do the same face because that face is quite fun. A sort of like robot monster face. Little dot there. I quite like doing little cheeks. This cheek's made of stars. And then you can have a bit of a neck there as well. But we know they're sitting in the right place. Everyone's happy. So I'll move on to the next one now. And again, I've got to think about where I place everything. I love the hair on this gal here. So I'm going to copy that, I think. So I'm going to start by drawing the top of her hair like this. And then I'm going to go in. She's got a bit, basically she's got my hair, hasn't she? Bob and shorts. I'm drawing me. That's what I'm doing. So I need to remember that the eyes are going to sit here. So I think the top of the hair will probably sit about there. And then the rest of the face coming down here. She's got quite a long face. That's okay. So for her eyes, I think I'm going to copy this sort of eyebrow and nose style. So we're going to go like this, because the bottom of the nose needs to be in this section here. And she can have nice circular eyes, like so. And then nice big smile there. Thicken that up a bit, I think. Circle there. Line there. And it's just about adding shapes, really. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just a bit of fun. And then the neck there. Fantastic. And then we can go on to our last one, which doesn't need to be in a certain area at all because it's on its own. It doesn't have any cut lines. So let's do a nice round face. And we'll do some wiggly hair. Like so. Some ears. That one doesn't have ears. Do I want this? Let's give this one ears. Why not? And then you'll notice that none of them are symmetrical at all. I don't want them to be. I prefer them not to be. I just like experimenting with shapes. And you'll find a way to make them look like some kind of face, I think. Now, you could make this themed if you wanted. I think this would be a great thing to do for Christmas. There's absolutely nothing stopping you making your colour scheme Christmassy and making your faces sort of Christmas characters. So you could do like a reindeer and a Santa and stuff like that. Is it a bit late to be suggesting Halloween faces? If you've got a bit of time between now and Thursday, then you could make these into Halloween faces very easily because you've already got like robot, you could do monsters, that sort of thing. I think that would be fine, wouldn't it? So this might be a good craft if it's absolutely chucking it down on Thursday instead of trick-or-treating. You could make one of these and then congratulate yourself with lots of sweets. I say chucking it down because I feel like the last few years I've taken my daughter trick-or-treating, it's been very much raining and we haven't lasted very long. Okay, great. So we've essentially got our 4 faces now. We need to remember that we need to be able to see these lines to be able to cut them, but I want to colour them in first just to make sure that it's just easier to colour it in before you do all the cutting. So what I'm going to do is, so you might notice that these cards here, the background is blue or orange. And the reason I've done that is because the middle 2 have got a blue background and an orange background, which makes the interchanges look a bit more realistic because they sort of sit in there quite nicely and they've got the same colour. So you can do that if you want. You don't have to. They could be whatever colour you like. And that's how I'm going to do it. But essentially, I'm going to colour them all in. And the only thing I'm going to leave is the background of these 2. I'm going to leave that till last so that I can still see these line marks so I know where to cut at the last minute. So we'll start colouring in. Now, you can choose whatever you like to colour in. I'm going to use a few different things. I'm going to use a selection of sort of paint markers, pencils and oil pastels. But you can use whatever you can get your hands on, whatever colours you like. And in fact, whilst I'm doing this in marker, I would say there's nothing wrong with you just doing them in black. I think this looks quite nice. If we added a bit of block colour with the black, so like in the hair and some of the backgrounds could be black, there's nothing stopping you doing all of this with a black Sharpie and done. I think it would look just as effective. So I don't want you to feel like you have to have any special colours at all. If you are a very intricate artiste and you like very precise paintings, then these would look fantastic if you did them with watercolour and if you did them as very realistic, precise faces. Please try any style you like. You don't have to do it like this at all. And you don't have to use fancy equipment either. But I'm going to start with, so I've got these are pretty cool. So these are Sharpie creative markers. They were in rainbow order and then my children got hold of them, so now they are not. So Sharpie creative markers are a little bit like Posca pens. So I do have some Posca pens here. So they're like your acrylic paint markers. And it's basically Sharpie's answer to that. The difference is you don't have to shake them and press them to make them work. And the nibs look a little bit like this. And they're really good. So they work on lots of different things. They work on glass, they work on fabric. And I think because they're new, they're like quite a new range, they're fairly cheap on most websites still. Like they're doing quite a lot of offers on them because they're like a new thing. So I got these on Amazon. I think they're about £12 for all of them, which I thought was pretty good. And they're just like really nicely pigmented. So these are a really good option if you need any marker pen recommendations. Now, as I said before, you're probably best to do it with pencil and then marker pen, which is going to make this bit a little bit more difficult for me because I now have to colour in and not go out of the lines because I don't want to cover up the marker pen. So this bit might look a bit pernickety, but it won't be if you do it with pencil first, because you can just go over the pencil and then go over with your marker pen later. So I'm going to be quite slapdash with this because I don't want to waste your precious time with me trying to not colour in the lines. You can obviously spend more time on it. So you can see here I've gone over there's nothing stopping you going over the marker pen because you can just go over it again. But you'll see it's just sort of covering it a bit. So if you are a bit of a perfectionist, do pencil first, do your marker pen after. But I'm going for bright colours, bright bold colours. And then I'll choose 2 background colours for these middle guys and do the same on my cards. And then I've got some chunky pencils, and I've got some fluorescent oil pastels just for a bit of detail, just to add some extra patterns on there if you so wish. You don't have to, they can just be really simple if you want them to be. But these markers are really nice to use, they're really good fun. Use them for lots of projects already, and they don't seem to, I think the only one that's silver now is the black, and I'm not sure why that is. I think it's probably down to misuse with a 6-year-old. I think she might have gone over too much of like a chalk pastel or something, and it sort of made it run out a bit. So I'm just going back over with the marker pen just so that we can see those details. Lovely. And then I might go in with, maybe it would be easier if I used the colouring pencils. Let's see. These are quite chunky, so they're quite hard to be detailed with, but they are good fun. So these are Stabilo chunky pencils. They're quite expensive. I don't really know why. I think it's because they're so chunky, but they are really good fun. I really like using them. And the colours are really vibrant and they work really well on top of things. Some pencils, I think it's because they're quite oily, so they're almost like oil pastels, so it means that the pigment will go on top of other colours, whereas normal pencil crayons, like, you probably wouldn't see them if I'll show you in a minute. I'll go over some of this yellow with another colour and you'll see sort of how vibrant it looks. Lovely. And then if I went over this with this blue, you'll probably see now like it's very, very vibrant. And you probably wouldn't get that with a normal pencil. So there you can be really, you can be very, very experimental with your colouring in. What am I looking for? I want a nice colour to colour in these circles here. I'm going to use this purple here. And then I will do the background. What colour shall we do the background? Maybe I'll do like a sort of green colour. I'm just trying to decide. I think I'm going to go with this jade. And again, this will be made much easier if you've done it in pencil first. I'm sticking to the background on this side, and then I'm going to do a different background colour on this one. And in fact, looking at the time, I should probably get a wriggle on with my colouring, shouldn't I? So that I have time to at least do one of the cutouts to show you the interchanging. So maybe I'll just won't colour all of this in. So I'm going to leave that there so that I can move on. I'm going to start on with these. So I'm going to try and colour these in super quickly. And again, I'm going to leave the backgrounds so that I can still see these lines. So let's start. Oh, I want to do her hair. Let's do her hair pink. I mean, let's be honest. Her hair was calling out to be bright pink, wasn't it? Lovely. Okay, and then what colour is her face going to be? So this is the other thing you'll notice is that I've made their faces the same colour, so the interchanging makes more sense. So let's do a nice yellow. Let's do a yellow. Lovely. It goes with pink. It looks like a fruit salad sweetie, which makes me happy. And I'm just going to go over the whole thing. And this is why this is a great craft to do with kids as well, is they don't have to be careful. They don't have to be neat. It looks great however it is. I'm just going to go over some of these details again with the marker pen, just so we can see. Lovely. And then what I would probably do, I'm going to get my fluorescent oil pastels, which are great fun. I think these were a £5 off Amazon. They're not particularly fancy, but they are great. Just love a bit of neon, and they just bring everything to life. So now if we look, that lovely neon effect that it's got on the hair. And then we're going to do the background. Oh, no, we're not going to do the background. Sorry, of course, we're going to wait. So I'm going to move on to Mr. Robot here. In fact, maybe we should make him like a sort of lime greeny colour so that it can be a little bit Halloweeny. So I'm going to go in with this pencil, I think. He's going to be a bit of a Halloween monster, I reckon. I've been trying to make bat wings for my children for Halloween with some old wire and some black tights. I mean, if it had gone well, you'd know about it because I'd probably turn it into a craft session to show you guys. It has not gone well at all. Don't think they look very good. I'm not sure they're going to want to wear them. But I just remember when I was younger, my auntie made me some fairy wings because we went to a festival and she made these incredible purple fairy wings with like wire and tights and glitter and like ribbons, and they were so good. They could have been professional. And I thought to myself, well, that seems like something I could do. I cannot. Maybe I'll try again next year and perfect it, and then I'll be able to show you. But it didn't go well, guys. It didn't go well at all. But if you look online for how to make bat wings, that's generally the rule, is that you use wire or coat hangers, and then you put them into shape and you sort of pull tights over them and tighten them, and then you kind of you can add that sort of like paint glitter to it. But here we are. It's not happening. So again, I'm just going to go over these with the black. I'm not going to worry too much because you already know that how it works. Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to colour this one in as well, just so that we've got a full effect. And then if I have time, I will endeavour to fill in 2 cards so I can show you the overall effect. So you can be, what colour haven't we done? Nice, maybe like a nice bright blue face would be nice. I think this one would look good. Beautiful. I just want as many bright colours as I can possibly get, I think. That's what I'm going for here. And there's also nothing to stop you doing a bit of collage with this. If you wanted, if you like cutting and sticking, I mean, you could do this with like magazine cutouts, couldn't you? You could do like actual cutouts of people's eyes and stuff. That would look really cool. Didn't even think of that. Maybe I'll try that next time. Okay, I'm going to go back in with some of these Sharpie creative markers. So you can have a lovely pink smile. And maybe like this bit could be pink as well. And then what colour hair are you going to have? I'm going to do it with this sort of green colour. Now, the way that I've done this in folding an A4 piece of paper in half and half again, no, it just in half lengthways and then folding it into 4, you could apply that to any size paper as well. So if you really like this idea, and again, I just keep thinking about Halloween. I know it's probably too late now. We don't have much time left before the actual day itself. But there would be nothing stopping you applying this to something much bigger. If you wanted them to be big and bold, you could put them in your window. As long as you remember that your cards need to be the same size as the segments on your row, then they can be as big as you like. And they don't have to be this type of rectangle. They can be any shape really, as long as you sort of stick to these line rules. You could do whatever you liked. Let's go in with one of the neon oil pastels, just for a bit of texture. Actually, you can't really see that. Let's do a bright green. Oh yeah, lovely, lovely. Perfect. And then we'll perhaps do, what colour shall we do? Let's do a red top. Fabulous. And what colour did we do your, let's do your neck as well. Okay, so we've basically got the faces. I might just colour in a little bit of the background of this one, just so you can sort of get the overall effect. I don't know, let's go with an orange, I guess. Just so you can kind of see what it likes when you've got a bit of full colour. Be very messy with this because I don't have any time. Okay, so now we're sort of basically done and we just want to do our background. So what I would probably do is choose your 2 colours for your backgrounds. I want to go with quite bright colours. So let's think. I'm just trying to decide what colour. I do really like this pink. I think one of them's going to have to be pink. So one of them is going to be pink. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be careful about where I put the pen. And I'm just not going to cover up those pencil lines that I've done. And I'm going to leave those till after I've cut them, just so I don't miss them, just to make sure that I'm cutting in the right place. And then it'll be really easy to just colour those bits in afterwards. But at least I've made a note of where they are. I'm not covering them completely. Okay, so we're doing this one pink. And then I'm going to leave those gaps there. This one I think is going to be blue, isn't it? Maybe I'll do it with this blue because this will go really nicely with the pink hair. And again, because I'm using quite thick markers, Got to be careful about where they go. And again, I would have done all of this before going over them in marker pen. So I would have done everything that I've done now, I would have done, and then I would have gone over the faces in the black marker, just so that it was nice and neat. And then afterwards, I'd go around it all like this. Yeah. So now that we've done all of our colouring in, all I'm going to do is this. I'm going to fold my page in half. And then because I can see the lines, I'm going to cut all the way across and then stop when I get to the end of that one. And then same here. Oh, is that folded nicely? Making sure it's folded okay. And then last but not least, this one. So then you should have your 3 sections there. Lovely jubbly. And then what I can do is I can go back in with my background colours and cover them up so we can't see the pencil lines anymore. But also this would have been quite tricky if I'd done it for all of it. And then last of the blue bit here. Let's go ahead there. Fantastic. And then we've got our 4 pieces. Lovely. Now we can add to it if we want to. If we want to add a bit of pattern, there's nothing stopping us. So quite like this neon orange. You might just do some wiggles, some squiggles, just to add a bit of something. Lovely. Fantastic. So that's our main bit done. We've done that. That will sit quite nicely. If you fold it in and out, it will stand up like so. So now all I'm going to do is I'll just do 2 of the 4 cards that we've got. So you can have 4. I'm just going to colour in 2 just so we don't run out of time. And all I need to do is exactly the same thing. I'm not going to cut anything. I'm just going to remember to leave a little bit of the line. Oh no, I don't need to leave any of the line. I can just colour it in as long as my eyes and my nose sit in the same place, and then they'll be ready for their interchanging. So again, I'm going to go in with my marker pen, but you do it with a pencil, and then you can use your marker pen afterwards. And we're going to do some more faces. So this one, this one's like a sort of rectangle. So what you can do if you want is sort of mimic the picture you're doing, but make it a little bit different, or you can go and do something completely different. So for this one, I think I'm going to do like a star shape and see what happens, because it's just a bit of fun. It doesn't have to be completely, you know, it doesn't have to be completely matching. And then we're going to do, let's do one of these noses. Lovely. And then the eyes need to sit in this first gap here. And then a mouth underneath it. Might give it the same mouth. And then this one, or let's do one with a nice headscarf. So I'm going to put the eyes, maybe I'll do the eyes first. They're going to go in that gap there. And then I'll do a nose, which is going to sit here. Maybe some eyebrows. And then we're going to do, well, let's do our mouth. And then we can go around like this. And then I was going to do a headscarf, wasn't I? Like so. I'm not giving myself enough space, but still looks lovely. Or maybe she could have some nice hair as well. Maybe we'll do some wavy hair. This is why I like doing this, because you can be really experimental with your faces and how you draw them. Really doesn't matter how you do it. Lovely jubbly. I put her on there. So now we can colour those in. The only thing that we're going to make sure that we do is that our backgrounds are going to mimic the backgrounds of these ones, so that when they're interchanging, they're more likely to fit. So this one's going to have a blue background. So I'm going to try and very neatly, not doing very well here because this is quite a thick marker. But you get the idea. Just get marker pen all over my already quite dirty desk. It's fine. Now, if I had more time, I'd probably do all the bits underneath her hair in blue as well, and then go over with it with the marker pen. But I'm just going to leave it like that for now. And then we're going to think about face colour is going to be the same as well, so it interchanges nicely. So we're going to go in again with this lovely yellow. And again, the possibilities of doing lots of faces is, you know, there's loads. So you could do the other side of this one, do the other side of these ones, so that you have like double, triple options on all of your faces. You could do all your friends or family, couldn't you? You could make it personalised. You could do characters in a film or a TV show. Okay, and then we'll do nice pink lip. And what other colours do we want? I'm going to go in with this really dark purple pastel. Just go over her hair. Do those waves again. Lovely. And then a nice purple cheek. And then I think let's do a red headscarf. Can't go wrong with a red headscarf. And last but not least, her top here. What colour is that going to be? Let's do this purple, sort of plum purple, aubergine purple. Fabulous. Okay, that's that one coloured in. Happy with that. And again, I might spend a bit of time going over it with my marker pen to make sure it's nice and neat. Or doing it in pencil first and then going over it in the marker pen afterwards. So we can see all of the features. And then hopefully we can see how this one works before we do another one. So what we'll do is we'll put it in and out like a concertina. And you can see now why I cut off the edges at the beginning so that it fits in nicely. Because if it's the full size, you kind of struggle on this fold line here. So that's why you want it ever so slightly narrower than the original piece. There we go. That's a bit of fun, isn't it? She's got these weird pink things here, but it kind of works because the face sits in the right place. Oh, big fan of that. That looks very Picasso, doesn't it? Okay, so then for this one, we're going to do our pink background. And again, I'll try my best to be as quick as I can. We don't need to worry about covering up those lines because we don't need the lines anymore. Now we've drawn the face. Everything's going to sit in the same place. Okay. This is quite therapeutic to do, I think, colouring in zigzags. It's quite nice. Quite like colouring in zigzags. Okay, so that's the background done. And then the face is going to be the Munster green, so that it fits in with this one. Oh, I really like the pink and green together. I think they look really nice. Again, I'm being very messy with my colouring in. You could be a lot neater. I'm just scribbling now. Still looks good though, right? Really looks bright and bold and good fun. Again, I keep mentioning Halloween, but I feel like this would work really well for Halloween. Okay, and then I think I went in with this sort of turquoisey colour as well, so I'll do a bit of that on there, just because those two colours look really nice together, don't they? Lovely. And then I will just very quickly go over a few of the bits of the black marker, just to get a bit of that detail. I'd probably do some other colouring in as well, maybe the mouth and the eyes. This is why it'd be good to have some normal colouring in pencils, because they're much smaller, be able to do the details. But I only got very chunky markers out, because they're more fun. Okay, let's just, I'm gonna go for it and colour the mouth in, and then also give the little dots a pink glow, and then go over those teeth. Fantastic. And let's see if this one works. See our interchanging. This is going to be interesting because we've got like a rectangular face and a zigzag face. So I'm not sure how this is going to look. Oh, it actually looks really cool. I like it. That's good. It kind of looks like a werewolf now, doesn't it? I didn't mean to do that. That's why this is so much fun, because we've just added random shapes and they work really well together. But it's because we've sat our eyes and the bottom of our nose and our mouth in the same place for all of them, so they interchange really nicely. So there we have it. Now, as I said before, we've cut our card into 4 pieces. So you can fill out as many as you want, and you can also double side them as well. So there's nothing stopping you doing these sides. I would just say the same rules apply. Make sure you do most of the colour in, but leave enough space for you to see the lines, and don't cut the lines until you absolutely have to, just because it's harder to colour in when they're cut. But you can do this on any material you like. If this was a bit thicker, I think it'd make a great card. This one does actually stand up, but you'll find a more robust card will be a bit less flappy. And you can do as many of these cards as you want as well, as long as they're the same size, and as long as you sort of trim them a little bit on the edge so they fit in really nicely. You can do as many of these cards as you want, and you can double side them as well. I'm just trying to think if there's like a way you could turn this into a game. It feels like you could turn this into some kind of card game, right? With all these little pieces. But that is how you make an interchanging face thing. I don't know what it is. It's just fun. A fun thing. A fun paper craft that anyone can try. I'm just going to put my interchanging cards into this one so you can see what fun they are. That one looks funny because its nose doesn't quite match. Let's see if this one's nose matches better. I like this one. I like the curly hair in this one. That one's a bit wiggly too, but they're just good fun, aren't they? They're just really good fun, really easy to do. I think as long as you're being super experimental and bold with your faces, they don't have to be fancy at all. They just look really, really great. So there you have it. Your interchanging faces. Somehow managed to do a werewolf without meaning to at all. Trying not to prompt you to do it for Halloween because it's only 2 days away, but still, here we are drawing Halloween pictures. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Great fun. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I'm going to be back in a couple of weeks doing more crafts. I'm very excited about the next one. Please tune in for that. I believe it's on the 15th of November. And I finished making my example piece yesterday and I really, really love it. It's another paper craft. It involves paper, but a lot more cutting and sticking, and it's really, really special. So please make sure you come and watch that, 'cause it's gonna be great. I've been Rosie. My business is Rosie and Ramona. I do this sort of thing all of the time. I love doing it so, so much. I hope you'll have a fantastic week and a fantastic Halloween as well. Make sure you're all careful carving your pumpkins, and make sure you turn the inside of your pumpkins into pumpkin soup, because it's so delicious. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a great rest of your day and see you soon.